I've stood in that garage more times than I can count, and there's a moment you learn to recognize. It's not loud, it's not official, it's just a shift. A driver stops being talked about as exciting and starts being talked about as wanted. I've watched this pattern before. Every time it's happened, it ended with one team getting the phone call no one else wanted to make. This time, the whispers are circling around the sport's most successful owner, and a driver nobody expected to be sitting in this conversation. That driver is Shane van Gisbergen. He arrived from Australian Supercars, a series where he won 3 consecutive championships between 2016 and 2018, and again in 2021, and then won in his very first Cup start at Chicago in 2023, a debut that immediately separated him from every rookie storyline before him. Since then, his road course resume has grown into something the garage now treats as a different era of driving altogether. Multiple road course victories followed in quick succession across Watkins Glen, Sonoma, and Mexico City, each one reinforcing the same idea. This wasn't a fluke debut, it was the arrival of a specialist, unlike anything the Cup Series had developed internally. Drivers who once dominated road courses for a single season have historically faded once the field adjusted. SVG's numbers kept climbing instead, and his qualifying performances on ovals began improving steadily throughout the season as well, a detail crew chiefs across the garage have quietly taken note of. Success at that level has always invited attention from the sport's biggest power players, and this time is no different. That's where Hendrick enters the picture. Hendrick Motorsports has a well-documented history of scouting elite talent before anyone else moves. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Chase Elliott, and Alex Bowman all fit that same pattern. In nearly every case, Hendrick identified the talent early, sometimes years before a seat ever opened up, often through development programs or informal relationships built long before a contract was signed. He doesn't wait for a driver to become available. He moves first, builds a relationship, and lets the timing sort itself out later. Kyle Larson's path is often cited as the clearest example. Hendrick pursued him for years before a seat ever became available, and when the opportunity finally arrived, the deal came together quickly because the groundwork had already been laid. And yet Hendrick's current roster is fully locked in for the long term across all 4 cars, with Elliott, Larson, Byron, and Bowman all under multi-year agreements that extend well beyond the current season. That raises the obvious question. If there's no seat open, why does the SVG to Hendrick rumor keep growing louder every single week? Speaking of growing, this channel is closing in on 1,500 subscribers, and if you want to stay ahead of every twist in this story before it breaks anywhere else, hitting subscribe now means you won't miss a single update. The rumor mill hasn't just grown louder, it has split the fan base into 2 camps entirely. NASCAR's own account said Shane van Gisbergen continues proving why he's one of the most dangerous road course drivers in the Cup Series. Reporter Bob Pockrass said, SVG's future is becoming one of the hottest talking points in the garage. Analyst Dale Jr. said, elite talent always attracts attention. When fans start linking your name with Hendrick Motorsports, you've clearly changed how the garage views you. Analyst Kevin Harvick added, if Trackhouse figures out qualifying on the ovals, SVG becomes a weekly threat, not just on road courses. Each of these comments spread rapidly across NASCAR social media within hours, amplified by fans already primed to see Hendrick's name attached to any rising star in the sport. But not everyone is convinced this is more than noise. Race day critics said, fans are confusing admiration with negotiations. There's still no official indication that Hendrick is pursuing SVG. That single comment was enough to send the internet into 2 clearly divided camps. Believers convinced the move is inevitable, and skeptics insisting the entire narrative is manufactured out of nothing more than good race results. On the other side of that divide sits Trackhouse Racing, the team that built SVG into what he is today. He's under a multi-year extension signed after his rookie season, and the organization has staked part of its international expansion strategy directly on his continued rise, using his profile to grow the Trackhouse brand across Australia and New Zealand. Fans loyal to the team aren't backing down from that investment. Trackhouse fans said, Trackhouse took the chance on SVG. They developed him into a Cup winner. They have to keep building around him. That loyalty runs directly into the tension driving this entire story. What happens to Trackhouse's identity if their franchise driver becomes the exact kind of target Hendrick has chased for decades? For some fans, the answer doesn't matter, because the fantasy has already taken over. Chevy Nation said, "Imagine Larson, Byron, Elliott, and SVG under one roof. That's why this rumor refuses to disappear." That single idea, a full Chevrolet super team built around four of the sport's most talked about names, has kept the speculation alive far longer than most rumors of this kind typically last in the NASCAR news cycle. Similar Dream Team theories have surfaced before around other Chevrolet drivers, but few have carried the same weight, largely because SVG's results keep giving the theory new supporting evidence week after week. Then came Sonoma in 2026, and with it, fresh evidence that gave the entire rumor new life. The win at Sonoma wasn't just another result. It became the real-world spark that reignited every conversation about SVG's ceiling as a complete, full-season contender. SVG himself acknowledged the piece still missing from his game, saying, "I need to really step it up on the ovals." We all do. His crew chief, Stephen Doran, echoed that same reality, calling qualifying the last piece of the puzzle. Every win, even one built on a rough weekend with mechanical issues or late cautions, adds fuel to a fire that was never fully extinguished in the first place. And the timing makes it more urgent than a simple off-season storyline. SVG currently sits right on the chase cut line, meaning the stakes tied to his performance are rising in real time, not as some hypothetical months down the road. A single strong oval finish over the coming weeks could change how every team in the garage values him, and a single poor stretch could just as easily cool the entire conversation down. Trackhouse's own engineering staff has publicly acknowledged the oval deficit as a known project, not a mystery, which means the timeline for closing that gap is now being watched as closely as the results themselves. Strip away the speculation, and the facts remain exactly where they started. There are no official talks, no leaked contracts, nothing concrete connecting SVG to Hendrick Motorsports beyond a pattern fans and analysts keep pointing back to whenever his name comes up. But the unanswered questions haven't gone anywhere either. Why does Hendrick's name resurface after every single SVG win, regardless of the track type? Why do fans keep constructing dream lineups that don't exist anywhere except in comment sections and fan-made graphics? And what happens if Trackhouse can't solve the oval speed problem before SVG's market value peaks somewhere else entirely, leaving the team to watch a driver they built walk into a seat that technically doesn't even exist yet? None of those questions have answers yet, and that's exactly the point. This is a story sitting in suspended tension, the kind that builds for months before anything actually breaks into an official announcement. History suggests these situations rarely stay quiet forever. Every one of Hendrick's previous pursuits, Gordon, Johnson, Larson, Byron, followed the same slow build of speculation before a deal was ever confirmed publicly, which is exactly why so many longtime observers refuse to dismiss this one as empty chatter. It circles back to where it started, the phone call no one wants to make, sitting somewhere out there, unmade, for now, while every win SVG collects makes that call a little harder to keep avoiding. If this breakdown kept you hooked from start to finish, that's exactly the kind of storytelling this channel is built on, and it only works because of viewers like you sticking around for it. Drop a comment with which side of this SVG to Hendrick rumor you're on. Share this with another NASCAR fan who needs to see it. And hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update the moment it drops. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next.